Alright guys, so we are here with Neuro of twitch.tv/Neuro, one of the best Zergs, well, I've ever personally known. He is here going to be giving us some nice tips, tricks, some tools of the trade to try to improve at this heckin' game we love called Starcraft 2. Been away from Starcraft for quite a while, getting back into it, trying to de-rust the joints, get the muscle memory back, and learn some new builds, see where the meta's at. And yeah, we're here with Neuro now, dude. Thank you so much again for helping me out, bud. So what say you and I take a look at some of these games?
Swarm them.
I couldn't have said it better myself, dude. Nice.
Bring it on.
Okay. Anyone in particular? Let's look at I'll do it from the top here. This is so all three that I have right now are ZVT.
Hey, thanks for subscribing to the Goblin King Twitch channel.
If we want to look at different matchups, I do have a couple I can find from that.
CVT is good for assessing your basics.
Yeah,
it's also the world's favorite matchup.
Yes.
So that's good.
Okay. So let's watch this with others. And I'm going to turn my alerts off for right now. So I will do that in just a sec here. But Angelic, thank you so much for that sub. Oh gosh.
One thing that I noticed from watching your stream was sometimes you would get in a really good macro position with the units, say Link main Muta, but didn't know where to stab at the opponent with what unit.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can look into.
Yeah, that is definitely. So before we go into this one, I mean, we can start here. I'll make you the lobby host, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you can just start that up whenever you'd like. That is definitely something I have felt a lot more. I've been enjoying doing a 2-base Muta starter. It feels really strong. It feels like you have a lot of options, and it feels overall pretty safe. And Muta traditionally for me was a unit I did not make very much when I was playing a while ago. I was typically pretty afraid to make Mutas because I thought they were really squishy, they required a lot of attention, and I didn't really know what to do with them, so I'm trying to kind of challenge myself a little bit, work outside of my comfort zone to understand them a bit more, because I feel like they're really strong. But I would say you hit the nail on the head, at least with how I've been feeling about it. I'm sure there's a lot of other issues I have as well, but I often don't know when I'm supposed to transition and what I should transition into for the most effect.
One thing to assess first is the shift in the meta since you last were actively pushing in StarCraft and how the maps are right now. So part of the reason 2-base Muta is really strong in current year is because the third bases on a lot of the maps are precarious as hell. This is so far away.
Yeah.
Super far away. And this base over here is super easy to abuse with siege tanks.
Which base?
So the down and forward base from your natural.
Oh, okay.
You would take that base if you were going Roach Ravager. So that would be you're expanding forward and you're pushing for the supply lead. If you're going Lingbane Muta, you want to expand down after you've gone 2-base Muta and then over.
Okay.
And then probably here and there. So you're trying to take the high ground and be far away from your opponent because Lingbane Muta is expensive. You need a lot of drones for it.
Okay. Are you pinging just real quick? Because I don't know that I see your pings happening. Just
yes,
so that...
I was.
Okay, so I don't see those, just so that we're on the same page.
Yeah, so the down and right base, bottom right, that would be your third base. And then to the west of that.
Got it. I think that's what expansion. I have been traditionally taking with... I think I've just been taking that overall.
Twitch channel. Oh, man. Hey, Jerry, say that 10 times fast.
So would you take the more forward third? You said Roach Ravager. Is that to kind of push your creep spread even further?
Yeah. You're trying to break the rocks. Roach Ravager is much better at breaking rocks than Lingbane Muta. They can corrosive bile and they can stack up their DPS better. With Lings, you're limited with surface area, and Lings aren't very good against buildings.
Okay.
So you don't really want to expand down and forward with Lingbane Muta because you don't have the money at that time to defend a 2-base Marine tank. They can just kill you.
Okay.
In ZVZ, are you playing Roaches or Mutas?
I have experimented around with both. My game plan ZVZ before was Pig had his like aggression video that he came out with, where you basically make a shit ton of Lingbane off of 3 bases, and you essentially just try to very lightly transition off of that into Roaches eventually, and either just do a ton of damage to your opponent, or and then transition to Roaches and then win the game. I have been trying out Mutas. I have lost a few times now to some more dedicated all-ins. There seems like people are kind of doing some mass speedling kind of hiding a little bit more. So it's definitely been reminding me that just because there's a Roach Warren in the wall and just because it's wiggling about does not mean that there's not like 800 speedlings in the base.
Mm-hmm. So you hit your 30 Overlord good here. Your 37 was late.
Okay.
The opponent wasn't really harassing too much this game, so we don't really see too much defensive procedure, but your opener is good. You pulled off gas, you have your main base injected, you have your second creep teamer going at the natural. Terrans can vary wildly in how good they are with their Reaper, so this one was pretty easy. But we're looking to be in a race car derby to try and saturate this natural as fast as possible, because you need full 2-base saturation with drones. You don't really want to drone a 3rd base early because you can't defend Hellions from here and your natural. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to defend both. The queens can't hold both bases. So against Hellbats, you'd be fucked.
Okay. And if
zoom in that 2-base.
Yeah. Definitely we're floating a lot of minerals right now.
Queen count being high is good. Just constantly making queens, that would help the mineral spending a little bit. Your 3rd timing is good. Timing it with Ling speed is correct. It's the most reliable. I think there are a lot of situations where Terrans can hassle the 3rd base location a lot, so you shouldn't feel like you're entitled to it. If they invest enough, they can block it. Right. So the reliable move is just to drone your 2 bases as fast as possible.
Okay. One question I had, and it's not necessarily come into play yet, but are you a fan of Baneness first with this opening, or Lair first? Or does it really not matter too much?
Meta-wise, Lair first is probably better. I would think of Baneling speed as your primary protection against all-ins.
Okay.
If they go for early Marine tank all-ins, Baneling speed means you can connect with the Marines instead of just getting them kited. On creep at least. So you're safe. And then you invest into upgrades as you take your 3rd base, is what Cyril does.
Okay.
So you go Bane speed for safety with the Spire for harass. And then you drone your 3rd base as you take Evos, and then you're working on your max out of Lingbane into Ultra.
So Lingbane Ultra is like the ideal comp versus Bio, or would you want that versus Mech as well?
Well, Mutas bait out Marines, and Marines are the most efficient mineral expenditure for Terran anyway. Okay. So they want to make Marines.
Okay.
And the Mutas kind of bait them to make Marines, which means Ultras have a stronger power spike. And Ultras are quite good on this map. These areas are pretty open in the late game, so you could probably contest this space with Broodlords. That's probably your win condition on Purity.
Is Brood Ultra?
Well, for ZVT, the main game flow that's standard at the highest level is Zerg is going Lingbane Muta on 3 to 4 bases, and then trying to fight for map control with the Ultras, and then you kill them with broodlords at their production, or at their most vital base if you're trying to starve them out. But production is probably the main spot where you kill a Terran. You control this spot and you win.
Gotcha. Okay.
A lot of Zergs will like headbutt into. Can you see pings, by the way? Yeah.
Yes, I can. So I switched it to everyone. That was my problem. I was just on mine.
Oh, okay. If you can deny them these bases, then they will run out of money pretty quick. This base, I mean, you could also kill that with broodlords, and it's also pretty weird to take. You could just put a Ling and an overlord drop and creep there or something, and you'll know when they try to go for it.
Okay.
How many drones do you have? 45 drones, 5 mutas. The mutas are happening at a pretty early time. I wouldn't have taken them at 2 base right now. You can build the spire and you can work on the upgrades, but just going for more Ling Bane production might have been better, or even more drones, because the Baneling count is what can keep you safe, but this is 630. You should still just have only Lings.
Oh, okay.
For an attack this far away, if you just have 30 Lings, that makes you safer than having Lings and Banes, and you can save your gas on other stuff.
Okay. Interesting. So, would you say then just prioritize spending the gas and not necessarily saving for I'm going to make 6 mutalisks as soon as my spire's done is more the way to go? Because usually with the 2 base opening that I've been trying to do, you take very early gases at your main and your natural for that kind of purpose of like hitting kind of a power spike with 5 to 6 mutas going across the map and trying to hassle the production or whatever is free, right?
Yeah. You are getting some work done here. We should be droning through this. Production tab. 4 overlords. So this would be the thing to combine. You want to think about, if we're doing muta harass on 2 bases, awesome. What am I coupling with that, with my macro behind it? It would be overlords and drones.
Okay. So the mutas create an opportunity for an advantage, but unless you spend that advantage, you're not really leveraging it.
Yes. So the 2 base muta distracts, it does not kill someone who's trying to macro up, and that distracts them from you droning the shit out of your 3rd base, which is the combo. You muta and you drone the shit out of your 3rd base.
Got it.
And grab a 4th base. Yeah, this is 4 medevac submarines, but that's kind of because the trades with this weren't as efficient before. If you snowball it, like as soon as they drop down 2 medevac marine, if you have enough Ling Queen to stop that initially, then they can't really drop down and deal damage, so they go away. And the next cycle is of a predictable size. It's going to be the same amount, so if you mix in enough Banes to your existing ground dominance, then you could just crush it and they can't do anything. So you had a little bit too few units to be able to deal with the first 2, so they got to snowball into full ships for the next ones. It's kind of the mini game of 2-on-1, and it's a little bit... it's more of an exception right now in the meta, I think. 2-on-1 isn't as common as it has been in the past, but it still happens sometimes. How often does it happen to you?
I would say it's not super common. I face a Hellion openers way more often than 2-on-1.
Cool.
And I guess that has succeeded in the fact that they killed 10 of my workers on that attack, and they pulled my mutas back from doing damage to their side of the map.
One note about building placement, the spire should probably be here instead. That spot is really precarious against battle cruisers and drops.
That seems very wise.
There's a lot of airspace. Right?
It's just a huge amount of space in between.
It's the Terran they drop there, and they're like, "Oh my god, thank you."
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh,
Easy to fix though.
It's true.
Your ejects have been pretty good.
Thanks.
Queens being down there is kind of yikes. If there's a sudden hellbat attack, or if the bio stems up really fast when you're not looking, they can get picked off. So this was something I actually worked on with Kessnuts too, is after you inject or you creep an area, you send the queens back to their current defense zone, which in this game, on this map, would probably be here, where it's between your most crucial bases, which would be your natural and your third right now. The main is kind of mined out. The spire shouldn't really be there.
Right.
We just so they should be in the area with the greatest concentration of value, is kind of the idea. Okay. And your natural and your third at that state of the game are the highest value, and also furthest from the opponent, because they're investments that gain value as the game goes. You don't want them on the front of the line where they can get killed, because that's 150 each plus the energy they would have gained. That's also denied. Queens, go to the safe zone, please. Go to the safe zone.
Yeah, I was trying to definitely recreep. That was something I think on versus Terran, when I play more of a ground-based army, I think I notice my creep a lot more. Because while I'm running around, the mutas fly, and I definitely realize that it's just as important to get mutas, or creep rather, with mutas. Yeah, well, they're having a good time.
They're working on it. You know what we need here? Get some fucking overlords right here. Yeah, you can get overlord and then just send the queens out, fill it pretty fast. Overlord speed is something that you should combine with a supply block. This is something that we tie together. Okay. Supply blocked, oh shit, 3 overlords and overlord speed.
Okay.
Because you can spend 100 gas even when you're supply blocked without making any units. And it's going to be pretty good in a lot of situations.
Yeah, there's never been a game that I've said, you know what, I'm not going to make overlord speed like as a conscious decision to save the money. It's always just been like, whoop, like, didn't think about that, okay. I guess we'll make overlord speed, or we won't.
Something that you can look at in your own review of your games is the strength of the production tab for you. So if you go to the production tab, you have 3 drones, 1 queen, and 1/1 going right now. You could also have an infestation pit, and you can afford it, and it has a whole bunch of utility, and it moves you up the tech tree to kill the opponent. Mutas you get some pretty good value on, but there are windows where they can't really do too much. So getting tech and upgrades is a really reliable way to leverage your lead if you have a worker advantage.
I don't know if I actually have a worker advantage right now with mules. We're pretty much even.
64. Yeah, you should probably shoot for 70.
Yeah, I don't think
at this point you could transfer 8 from your main to your third, and then join your fourth, just for minerals. Because if you look at your gas right now, you have 1395, but you only have 415 minerals. But ultras are 300 minerals, 200 gas.
Right.
So you want to be building your economy size for ultra production.
So get minerals, not necessarily full saturation on the fourth, but well, I
full
guess
saturation for minerals.
Could, yeah. And that was something I ran into. I remember this game. We do go to ultras, but that was something I remember running into pretty hard. Was, oh my god, I have literally all this gas and no minerals to spend it. Was a big issue I ran into. I definitely felt like my 4th base was very late this game. My standard I tried to hold to before was 6 minutes, 60 drones, and then make a 4th base, regardless of if I had that drone count or not. Because I don't think I've ever had a game where at 6 minutes I didn't have 300 minerals, I could just throw a 4th down.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Okay. Oh my god, it's the drop that you said was gonna happen.
Oof. Dude, speed overseers with the mutas. I watched this game on stream. I was here.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. This is the game that I'm referencing with the didn't know where to stab when you were ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like you had the stronger army to me, but you weren't attacking in the right places with the right units. It seems like the broad strokes of
Oh, there's Twitch
Ling Muta make sense to you. So
Twitch
that's
channel. Oh man. Hey Jerry, say that 10
It's a
times
pretty
fast.
classic
this-
style for Zerg. It's
Was
been
this
while.
a smart
It's been while.
choice? I feel like at the time I did it because it was kind of funny. But I do feel like I probably should have killed those 4 Marines on the
Dude,
island.
stranded him? No, I clipped it.
Yeah, okay.
I clipped it and I sent it to people. That was value. But that was like streamer craft value, not game.
Okay.
But I respect the move as a fellow entertainer.
Okay. Okay.
For this, the Ling Bane, it's a little bit exposed. And you don't really need to up the Bane count that much.
Okay.
I guess this is kind of a attack they're doing, but there's no reason for you to even go here. You have absolutely no benefit of going into that area at this time. What you could do is send almost all of your lings, or like 20 lings, to this base, and they would be fucked. And you can just defend with Banes way the fuck back here at your natural. You have no reason to go down there.
So just let them get the creep, essentially, at this point. It's not really...
Sure.
We can just make it again.
Yeah, it's just like some bushes are over there.
It's just some bushes, okay.
What, you need to defend the forest right here?
They're cutting down the trees.
Terran players are really good at this. They just piss off the Zerg, and the Zerg thinks, oh, we need to have a battle now.
Yeah. Okay, alright. So...
They're trying to trick you right now.
Yeah, well,
This is a pretty good fight, though.
they
You did wait until they came into the open area. And they put their mines way too far back. They should fight there. Oh, man.
Well, don't worry, I'll run into them. It won't be all bad. But I think my lings actually soak all of the mines. I get like every one of these medevacs, which I felt pretty happy about.
Oh, man. Imagine if the Ultra Cavern was done
God,
and making them right now.
don't say those words. Oh, man.
2 Overseers. You should name them. Think up 2 Overseer names.
Right now?
No, at any convenient time in the next 3 to 5 business days.
Okay.
And those are the ones with the Muta group. Because the Mutas are really, really value dense. And the main way that they bamboozle you is with invisible units. So the Overseer is basically the Muta's best friend. If the Mutas don't have an Overseer, they're fucked.
With the mutas, so I know that when you make Hydras versus this type of composition, you usually just right-click an Overseer onto the Hydra group. You don't include it in the Hydra group. Would you include it with the Muta group in this instance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, with Overlord speed. If you don't have Overlord speed, they lag behind, so you absolutely have to get that.
Okay.
You could also, for the fans, do cheeky contaminates. It's not really that crucial of an ability, but it's pretty funny.
So, question, with this being my kind of army composition versus Widow Mines, well, Widow Mines I've traditionally had problems with anyways. What is your, I guess, strategy, if you want to say that? How do you say this is how I deal with Widow Mines when they're doing this kind of thing?
You set up a flank So you would know where your collapsing point is for each map. Where if your primary army is over here, you have the opposite side of the crab. There's like a crab claw that is going to stab them in the butt, and it's over here. So you have always at some point some unit squad that's on the side in the darkness. So when your opponent comes into you, you have something over there. So maybe your Lings on the west side of your bottom left base, and then your Banes on the right of your fourth base. So when they come on to creep, the Lings can flank, and those absorb the mine hits pretty efficiently, and you don't lose gas units.
Okay.
And then you crush them. It's a trap. They should be going into a trap.
I see.
They think that they're luring you into a trap with the mines behind them. They're trying to piss off your stuff and make you go out into the minefield.
Right.
But you choose to go into the minefield first with your Ling flank, and then they're gonna lose to the Banes. Yeah, a lot of Zerg success is based on understanding the formation and position, not as much the fancy pants clicking of like stuttering groups of units. Terran micro is pretty different. Terran is playing with Transformers and Legos. So if they're parading into you, a really good spot to hit is actually here.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go back, and then we're just going to watch that area of the field and think about the units that are walking by. So they're kind of pushing you this space. Whenever they push further to the west, then you're looking at the reinforcement line. It's like a dude is running by on the map, just in the open field.
Yeah.
But there's the swarm that's around, and if you put 16 Lings right there, or your mutas right there, then you cut off the growth of their numbers. So a super strong point to hit consistently is just dead center of the map. People are going from place to place. They're not fighting there the majority of the time, but it's wide open. And Zerg is good in the wide open, so why not fight for the wide open space? Lingbane Muta versus Bio is putting eggs into baskets. You want to put them in different baskets that accomplish different things. You don't want to put all your eggs into one basket because the basket has widow mines in it.
Right. So if one of your baskets gets blown up by widow mines, you still have 4 other baskets.
Yeah.
I see.
That was a good fight though. But where are the overseers?
They're not here.
It's a good unit.
Yeah.
I think of overseers a lot like wizards, kind of like Gandalf, where they are pretty good. They don't fight too much, so there's not that much that they can feel guilty about. And they can go really fast, and their main job is to look at stuff.
Yeah.
So they're kind of your scientist wizards.
One overseer right now, and cleaning up all of these mines would have been a really nice thing.
Yeah. And for a fight like this, you can just put it into oversight, maybe right here or something. And you can see pretty much all of them. You could just send individual Lings into that, sort of like you would in ZVZ. There's not really much of a reason for mutas to be here.
Yeah.
They should be probably, you have 17 of them, should probably be here. This Terran did make quite a few widow mines and keep them at home. But this area is pretty wide open. I think that's probably their spot. If you can hit the add-ons, that's the most valuable. I think it's value dense for the HP of the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And it also wounds their production capacity as well. Like it's half production on the building if you get that structure that's 400 HP.
Right. I have
So the mutas,
tried to focus that.
if you ask mutas like what is your favorite meal, it is probably like workers or Terran building add-ons. Those are the tastiest things. Really
Reactor
gourmet
tech
stuff.
labs.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay.
That is the good shit.
That's the good stuff. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, we have ultras now at least.
Yep. These rocks are really bad to have in the game right now. That push that they did was a lot more dangerous because the rocks were not killed.
Kill the rocks.
Kill the heckin' rocks, dude.
Man.
That's something that we just start every coaching session of every Zerg at every level with is, dude, fuck rocks, dude.
Just kill them.
As a Zerg, it doesn't help us in any way. In no situation would you want these rocks in the game. Who decided to put these rocks in the game? Not a Zerg player. A Zerg person wouldn't do this to the map.
Yeah, that's true. That is.
It's just debris.
It's again, it's certainly not a conscious decision to go, you know what, I'm gonna let those rocks stay there. I think that's a good, I think that's a good rocks to keep. I think I even attack these rocks eventually with mutas. Look, they're overseers now, but I mean they're not like with the actual mutas going around doing stuff. But yeah, we got there eventually.
This base for Terran is pretty easy for them to defend against ground. There isn't a good angle for ultras into that base too much.
Oh, well.
I think sweeping this base is really good with ultras. How open that is, there isn't a weird cliff formation, a bunch of rocks blocking it.
I'm glad you think that, because that's not what we do here in a couple of minutes.
I would think that the best way to crush the Terran here is to annoy the shit out of them with mutas here, and then try to sweep this base here. And you could probably send lings here earlier on. This base has like no defense, and it's 2 gases, and they do need the gas to make tanks and stuff.
He had kind of 2 widow mines there for a long time. I think like since 8 or 9 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice that to start, would you adjust your harass of that base at all? Like, go for more Bane-centric attacks, or kind of keep it with just lings?
Nidus is a really good move to make against both mech and bio. The main units that you would want to Nidus into the main would be Hydras in the late game against mech.
Hey, any friend of this guy
Or
is a friend of
in the
John
case of Ling Bane
Gabblecat
Muta,
of
it
Necro
would be
Gabblecat.
Ultra Ling Bane into the main.
Okay.
While you posture somewhere else. So you could be threatening down here, or just defending an attack. And then in the late game, you Nidus into the main, get a bunch of Ultra Ling Bane, and it's really hard
Thanks for
them
subscribing to the Goblin
up the
King's
ramp
Twitch
to defend
channel.
their production.
You done did it.
Going
It's
to
like the Zerg
Whataburger, what
finishing move.
you?
If you get far enough ahead, you can do that.
Gotcha. So
Your army value is really good, though. I mean, you have 75 drones, 5 ultras, 7 corruptors, 29 banes. Let's look at the active forces tab. You have more in both minerals and gas than your opponent, and still 10 free supply. So you're in a pretty baller spot. The main thing is economy.
yeah,
The Terran has a really big bank, and you just put 14 drones here, but they're not mining yet. The Ultra's main purpose in this game state is to kill them for one, but also defend this spot on the map. Because if you can defend this spot, then these 2 bases right here are both easy for you to control.
Okay.
They're safe if you can hold the grass in front of it. But you need the creep for that. What is the queen count?
It's pretty
3.
poor, I think, at this point.
They all died, and
Yeah,
they were
they
not
died.
rebuilt.
Yep.
Do you name your queens?
Nope. I don't have names for any unit.
Okay. That might be something that I'd recommend. Or at least the creep queens, like they could have a name for their club. Like if they're an organization or a set of agents, like what is their cool superhero nickname?
Okay.
Like, are they the Ninja Turtles? No, they're the Queens of the Creep Sweat or something or other. But it should be a squad that if it dies, there's like a sad episode, and then they get resurrected in the next episode. And
Got
you're
it.
really excited because they can spread creep again. Oh, Chihuahua.
Yeah.
The main base is fairly dicey on this map, so I think for the strong point of where your home is, when you think about purity and industry, it's probably here.
Yeah. It becomes your most central location after your 4th base, and much harder to hit into than your main, which has a giant airfield behind it.
Yeah. I think Special was right. On the Pylon show, we were talking about this map, and for the purpose of fighting with your opponent on 3 bases, Zerg really is unplayable because the 3rd base of the opponent is so easy to defend. And attacking up the ramp past rocks is not good for Zerg. But Ultras are pretty good at fighting over the grass in the late game. So if you get to the late game, you can be really strong.
So one thing I'm really noticing is how much these Widow Mines are just fucking up my day.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of gets into your head, like, I have like 50-something lings, more than that even. If I tank 2 bad Widow Mine hits, that's like literally your entire army that's gone. And so it kind of keeps you from moving out. And I think what I need to do is just really be more proactive. My mutas aren't going to be doing any fighting, like you said. They're not going to win any kind of big fights unless it's just scraps. So I think I need to change my perception of what mutas do in the game. They kind of evolve to fit a different need, which is harass and clearing Widow Mines or clearing off reinforcements. They're not a fighting unit. They're a stealthing unit.
Yeah, they're like a really ravenous food critic. And they're after add-ons, workers, that's their jam. Really good at picking off stray air units and also just denying drops in the airspace. So mutas make a linear game out of a bio match. If you don't have Spire, then they can abuse this airspace a lot with just super heavy drops into the main. And you have to let them try to land on your side.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a killing unit if Terran falls behind, and you can just sweep up with all your Lingbane Muta.
Right.
A really common format for a bio versus Lingbane Muta game is Terran is pressuring with Marines, and Zerg is trying to get up Mutas and harass and take air control. And there are some fights that happen where Zerg splits off their units to set up a 360 Super Gosu surround. So they have units over here, they have units over here, and they have some units in the center. And when the opponent tries to come up, they just collapse all 3 onto them, and they get swarmed. But that means you can't really kill your opponent all at once very easily, because you're way spread out, so you wouldn't hit at the same time. But if you take a good fight, you can F2, and then sweep forward right here. Just go at them wherever their reinforcements are being rallied, and race them to that point. And that would be a way that if you were really ahead in the mid game, you could just kill them. And then you're rushing up to the production with Lingbane Muta. You just roll all the way through.
Yeah, I definitely see how just absolutely exposed their production is.
Yeah.
Looking at it again, there's a missile turret and a mineral field that doesn't exist, and then everything else is just completely open.
Yeah, and this happens a lot. This Terran has been doing a really good job of being constantly in your face and being really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So they've directed the attention to your front when a lot of the time you're ahead value-wise, but they're still kind of dictating where the action is. But if with the eggs in different baskets, then we can deal damage all over the map and also set up 6 rounds.
Right.
Imagine nidusing links into the main right now.
Yeah.
During this fight, because you can afford it. You have the bank. You can drop the nidus when you push. Just drop it kind of in front of your natural, because you usually have that secure, and it's kind of central in your bases. Rally the hatches there. You're fighting with your army at the front, and then the units are already going into the nidus, and then you can just establish the nidus during the fight and kill them.
3/3 adrenalings in the main.
Yep. Mix in some Banes too, for some pizzazz, for some sauce.
There's some sass in there. Alright.
Basically, you want to be subscribing to your opponent's main base.
Mm.
Yeah, I like where your fundamentals are coming back. 73 is a good amount. It's a healthy economy. Not going to complain about that.
This is just
Now you've got the idea with your tech. Look at this. The hive is in the 3rd base location.
There you go.
We learned our lesson.
Like the
We had the
spire.
hive and the spire up here, and we're like, no, fuck that. That's not safe at all.
Oh no.
We've even got a spine for good measure.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna protect that hive, I tell you what.
Yep.
So it is definitely a different style of making Lingbane again. For some context again, when I was playing a lot more back in the day, like 5 months ago, I would make roaches every single matchup because I just thought they were kind of a fun unit to make. So versus Bio, versus Mech, versus Protoss, and versus Zerg, I just would make roaches. And playing Lingbane again, especially Lingbane Muta, is like a 360, 180, whatever the hell you want to say, of how you're supposed to control your army. The roaches are more of a defensive style, and Lingbane Muta and into Ultra, I think, is supposed to be a lot more of an aggressive kind of push forward and hit your opponent in multiple different places. I definitely see the power of it. I mean, that one sweep through, even though we were pretty far behind as far as like economy went, like killing 3 bases instantly, was pretty nice. Obviously, I lost so much that we're basically just dead at this point. I think we hold on for 6 more minutes just because we're still playing, but you know.
But yeah, you are basically
we're
dead.
Functionally dead, yes.
And we can move on to the next game. GG.
Okay, GG.
So I've got no arms left, and I've got a leg.
I'll bite your legs off.
Also, my throat hurts, and I've got a bit of a headache.
Yeah. One thing that would kind of be helpful is there are times when I feel like I should be doing some backstabs or some side attacks, but I don't quite know what the best way to accomplish that is. What is too many units? What are not enough units? What are the best units to try to roll in? I see people that run Lings in. I see people that run Banes in. I'm not quite sure when is a good time to do that. I know one thing people do is they'll take a fight with like their main army and they'll split off like a small group and run them in as they're doing that. I think that's really strong, but I guess
So
yeah.
we're going to take a wax on, wax off approach with this, so I'm going to tell you the first one.
Okay.
And you can practice the first one for a while. And once we get the first one down, we can work on the next one.
I like it.
First one is Lings into the Terran Natural, and you're trying to go up the ramp and see what the production is. That's going to tell you Mech or Bio. You're not going to deal damage with it, but that's the first time you should stab It's like a scout stab.
Okay. And when do you normally try to do that?
6 minutes.
Okay.
6 to 6:30 is the main window where they make that decision. They usually harass you with some Hellion something pressure, and then they make their tech choice of mech versus bio. That's where the builds commit, because you're either going for stim or you're not.
Okay.
And for that decision, to figure out what your game plan is, it's Lingbane Muta versus bio. What are you doing against mech?
Dying. My go-to, I used to feel very confident versus mech. Before I played or was trying to play a Muta style, and I saw that my opponent was going mech, I feel like my win rate was something like 90% of the time. I would go Nidus Swarm Hosts with Roaches or Hydras if they were making a lot of air type stuff, like Banshees or BCs or something like that. And that playstyle for me felt really good. Swarm Host Nidus was something I felt like I performed really well at. Because it's just free units, and I don't know why people don't perform super well at it. Versus Battle Mech, it was a little bit more difficult, but I actually would even still make Swarm Hosts and usually eke out a victory, though it was a bit harder.
Okay, so we will now learn the ways of Roach Ravager Swarm Host.
Okay.
This has been a known style for quite some time. Basically, the reason you think about it as Roach Ravager Swarm Host is because the Terran by-going battle mech can force you to make roaches, so you may as well plan it in the style. Battle mech, it's really easy for them to run away from the Swarm Hosts, and they can defend it a lot more easily. They can also just bleed your units constantly by going to creep, locking on, and then driving away, laughing at you.
It's a really great feeling.
Fun and interactive gameplay.
It's super awesome. So I think this is another 2-base Muta. Now, what is it like to transition from kind of going in with the game plan of, okay, I'm going to go 2-base Muta against this guy, into, okay, he's going to go mech, I'm going to make Roach Ravager Swarm Host? That's, I guess, my kind of question.
The way that I would think about ZVT is you're going to go 2-base Saturation Queens as your opener, and you make the decision of Muta versus Roach Ravager with the Scout. So you get the 6-minute Scout, and at 6 minutes, you're not committed to making Mutas. You're not committed to making Roach Ravager. You just want to not die to harass. So you have some Queens, you have Creep Connection, you have some Static Defense, and you have enough Ling Roach or Ling Bane to defend your 3-base Saturation.
Okay.
And then with your 3-base income, you decide what your unit composition is going to be.
So you just try to play a very solid 6 minutes generic opener unless they're doing something really weird, and then at that 6-minute mark where you scout, oh, there's like 5 factories, or oh, there's like 5 barracks, whatever. Then you go, okay, I'm going to make Mutas, or okay, I'm going to make Roach Ravager.
Yep.
Swarm Host. Okay. Alright, I like that. I'm kind of curious now, at 6 minutes, what the position looks like to scout in at.
If they're slow, sometimes they just have their wall closed. The reason 6 minutes is good is because that's around the time when Terran is trying to establish their 3rd. So that's when they open the door, because they're transferring units between the 2nd and the 3rd base.
You just want to slip them
Sometimes they'll expand here too, though.
Okay. So then if we're sort of more going towards 6 minutes to decide your major tech piece, would I be correct in saying this layer and this extra extractor on my main is a bit too early then?
No, that's fine, because that actually brings you closer to Bane speed.
Oh,
and
okay.
Bane speed is a major safety checkpoint. So fast layer, this is a little bit fast, but it's not so fast that you're not creating an edge. You'd be creating the edge of safety by rushing for Bane speed. But layer time is usually around 4 minutes.
Okay.
You want to be pumping out primarily drones right now. So if you spent that 150 minerals into drones, that would have been better.
And then make the layer after.
Yeah.
So, to I guess ask another question. I don't pull off of gas this game because again, I'm trying to more on this one to execute that 2-base muta crisp build that I'm, kind of gunning for on this one. So to sync up a 4-minute layer, that's still put the 2 drones back onto gas at 3:15.
You put drones back on gas at 3:30 if you want the most like economically balanced time to put them back on gas.
Okay.
If you put them on earlier than that, then that wounds your mineral economy somewhat. So you're going to struggle more against mineral-based attacks from the Terran. If they shove Hellbats at you, or if they shove Hellbat Marine Tank is something that's kind of a common attack from Terran, they just kill you because you don't have the minerals to make the ground units to survive.
Okay. And taking a third with speed is the way to go.
Yeah. If you're looking at the 3 races in StarCraft, Zerg's economic power spike is 3 bases injected and saturated. We mostly defend shenanigans from Protoss and Terran in the 1 to 2 base stage. In the 3 base stage, we have more potential to swing back at them, and then in the 4 base stage, like as you get your 4th and your Hive Tech kicks in, that's a pretty big power spike for map control for Zerg.
Okay.
Just how the game is balanced asymmetrically.
Is the 3:15 Overlord Scout into the mains? That's still kind of the classic. Is that correct?
It's 3:45.
Okay.
.345 Overlord Scout.
Okay.
And that's to see maybe Battlecruiser.
And that's basically all you're really looking for. Or maybe if it's a 2-1-1.
Yeah, you can scout a bunch of stuff. You can also scout an early 3rd orbital. Some Terrans are doing that now as well. They'll just take the 3rd stupidly early. I've seen some Terrans take the 3rd CC before Zerg would normally take a 3rd in a standard game. They'll take it before 3:30, and you're like, what the fuck? Because you can kill a whole bunch of different builds.
Yeah.
It's not safe at all, especially not on this map.
Yeah, just unafraid.
They're just rolling the dice.
They strike.
Big money, big money.
Okay, so this game again, I have like a 9 flock of mutas.
The creep connection, dude.
Yeah. Yep.
So the order of creep tumors I would go for is the first one connecting the natural to the 3rd. And on this map, you might even put it at the bottom of the ramp because that's pretty deep in your territory, probably not going to die against Reaper. And your Lings can assist the Queen in dropping that first one. And that would also partially fill into the main. And then you can work your way to the 3rd base and then over. And then you really want to be shoving it in front of your 4th, like really aggressively.
Okay.
Because that's where a lot of the Marine Tank 2 base timings are trying to hit you. And you want to just make that place purple.
Also, killing rocks is important.
Yep. Oh, how many links do we have before this? If you're against Hellions, your resting link count should probably be about 14 in this phase of the game. And at the natural, walling is sometimes good. You don't have to do it. If you have enough links, then it doesn't really matter. And they can't make Hellions in a turbo speed like it's 2x2. So you can just see if they keep making them and they keep harassing, and you can match with your link count.
Okay.
What are we producing right now? Should be droning like fuck. The spore timing, what do you get spores at? Versus Terran.
I believe it's supposed to be 4:30.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, I didn't this
4
game,
minute 30
but
spores. Safe against Banshee. Against Battlecruiser, you could delay them until 5 minutes. I would say it's not really that crucial. It might as well just memorize 4:30. It doesn't hurt you that much.
Okay.
You dang Banshees.
Damn Banshees, dude. Damn Hellions, dude.
Produce during the harass. I'll write this down.
Okay. Thank you.
Look at the production tab.
Again.
Look at the production tab.
Yep. It's got a very important +1 fly attack on the way.
No.
Yeah.
It was a pretty brutal fight.
It was very
A lot of drones died.
tough to watch again.
Ouch. Production!
Yeah.
Okay. that water noodle hit gotcha.
Yeah, that one was it's like when you
Oh,
get
shit,
slapped
you
in the
swim.
face and some water gets in your eye and you're just like, oh god, I don't want to play anymore. Ow. Oh yeah.
ZVT is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
The ones that feel like that in ZVP are like DTs, losing your third base and stuff. Oof. That is a yikes. Dude, the mutas are hitting the add-ons. Beast.
It was really nice because he just made them as I was attacking those barracks, so that was really kind
Look
of
at the
him to
other
do.
ones. You keep attacking the barracks.
Yeah.
Convert that HP that they killed in the barracks and the other structure into the HP of the add-ons. I bet you could have killed 3. So that might be a fun
you're
challenge,
right.
and I might work on this too. I don't know. Just for a meme stream, is see how many add-ons the mutas can get in a Terran game and try to set a personal best. They should be an add-ons killed overlay for this. That would be sick.
Yeah. And okay.
We're going the way of the muta.
Yeah, I was really trying to play Muta and understand what works and what did not.
I like it. It's a difficult choice. I'm kind of, I don't know if I would say surprised, but it's a fun and awesome style, but it is maybe the hardest to play.
It feels very strong, and then it also feels like a paper towel sometimes.
Right now,
Like right now, yeah.
we have 14 mutas against 39 marines, and that is the fight right now. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
God. Yeah.
And no Bane speed. Bane speed before Spire is good against marine openers.
Okay.
The Spire can be your power spike where your goal is to make 15 mutas to harass the main. That's usually the really big opportunity for Zerg when you've invested in the Spire against Bio, because you don't want to make 2 base muta against 16 marines microed by Bjorn. You're just dead.
Yeah. For sure.
But fortunately, they didn't micro against the Banes and died.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Thank you. Thank you for at least giving me that, people. Yeah, I think I need to think my understanding of the role that mutas play. I think that was is still one of the biggest challenges that I have with this style, is just knowing and admitting like they are not going to win me the game. They are a harassment annoyance unit. They're not there to fight. Like, they can't fight. A bunch of Marines walk in, I literally have to just run away from them. Like, this is not an option for them to do what they're doing now.
But their impact can win the game in the sense that
Yes.
it can make you crushingly far ahead with your ultra switch, and then you just kill them. If you're kind of behind, the mutas can help distract so you survive. But if you distract well enough with the mutas, then you can get really ahead so that when you're maxing out, the Terran is dead.
It's a more sneaky utility unit rather than direct attack force applied.
Mm-hmm.
They can fly, and that's really important. And then we're dead. I mean, we've been dead for a little bit, but yeah, we're just...
Yeah.
I gotta say, it feels really great having a bunch of mutas just fly near Marines. It's really fun. At least you have something to kind of right-click around and while you're dying.
They need to go to a totally different objective right now.
They really do.
That's their objective.
You know? I think they're just like, oh,
Swarm,
maybe
we've got 30 Marines and 4 medivacs. What do we do?
Send in the mutas.
yeah. I think there's just some kind of dream that I had at this moment that, like, for some reason they would just pick up all of those Marines and just sit there on the medevacs for some reason. GG.
Nice. CVT is the best.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's the one I struggle with, I'd say, the most, but it's the one I probably enjoy doing the most.
Mm-hmm.
I had, and I still hold that it's definitely, I feel like, the most mechanically intensive, where it's testing your basics to the, like, most extent compared to the other matchups traditionally, at least in Diamond. And not having solid basics and not, like, really keeping an eye on that, a good Terran can just really exploit. So if you don't creep spread, then they're gonna exploit that lack of vision.
Yep.
Just as a for instance. Another one of these maps.
So Zerg, they're not exactly fighting with water noodles the same way as Terran is hitting you. They're like building Legos outside your base with the tanks and the mines, and then trying to say, hey, come walk over here. This is really soft grass. And then it's a bunch of Legos in the grass.
Oh, God.
And your feet get all fucked up. And then they shoot you with
all.
the gun and you lose.
Oh, jeez.
For Zerg, you're like, as that fight is happening, you are actively TPing their house by sending lings. You say, lings, go TP the Terran's base. So they just run past. They're not even going to pay any attention to the attacking units. And the mutas do that too.
Mm-hmm.
The mutas are basically swooping in and eating all the apples off their apple tree. And this is the place where they build farms and shit. We are the swarm. We swarm. What do locusts do? They eat a bunch of stuff.
Yes. Go eat these delicious buildings and add-ons.
Yep.
Fine dining.
That's what Swarmhouse do too, dude.
Yeah.
This is a really good Swarmhouse map.
That's good to
But
hear.
probably for expanding down. Because if you went Swarm Hosts and you went Roach Ravager as this third base, and then you killed the rocks, you have Roach Ravager and then you make 14 Swarm Hosts and use the Roach Ravager to escort them here and throw Locusts up on their production. That's really difficult for them to defend. And you could pressure this space with Ling Roach or something. If it's a planetary, then whatever. Don't worry about it.
So it's a planetary, just stop trying to harass it? Is that kind of the call? With
That one is so far away. It's just too expensive to kill for the Zerg. Unless they're really not paying attention. Like, if it's bio, that last game, it's an orbital, it's bio. If this isn't walled off, then you might as well punish it. A walled off orbital is kind of safe. A planetary is super safe. And if they didn't wall off and it's an orbital, then they're not paying rent and they're going to get evicted.
Okay.
They have to pay rent if they want to keep that establishment. You do have to respect the value of defender's advantage. It's just built into the map.
Yep.
If they're a paying tenant, then you let them stay, you know? But this is your map, and you control the middle and the watchtower for the whole game.
Watchtowers, man, that is something I do not often try to prioritize taking control of.
Did you know there was a debate among the map designers that the Xel'Naga watchtowers were too powerful
Really?
for their impact on the game?
Just having vision.
Yeah, well, they thought they were too strong. They provide too great a radius of vision on the map that it breaks the design. We can't even make maps with watchtowers. It's way too overpowered. So this Reaper is actually like a god right now.
Yeah.
This is one of the most broken locations on the map. It's just a huge well of power because you have the knowledge around it.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
But I control this spot.
This Overlord. That's actually a scenic spot, though. You could put a swimming pool on the left side.
It's a lot of
This
nice
Overlord's
things,
chilling there, making sure everything's safe. Zerg can have party, bring some refreshments and beverages and stuff. Have a barbecue. Fuck yeah, dude. This is a good spot.
I'm putting
Not for like
Overlord there
fighting, but yeah, it's cool.
for leisure time activities.
This one gives you the knowledge of these like stupid choke points, and they could put a bunch of tanks. You want to know about that kind of thing if you can. It is a mini game of decisions of how heavily do you invest to control this point. And on this map, you don't want to fight super hard for it. Like, no, I must hold this.
So it's a BC opener. Which I
With
didn't know
BCs,
because
the
I
mini
didn't
game
scout.
is Queen spam versus BC spam. They're going to be making BCs pretty much constantly up to 3 a lot of the time. And they're trying to snowball against your queen count, snowballing. And it becomes a contest. Who can spam more of it? The micro is not super crucial. They have pretty flat values for what they can earn with their BCs. They're basically guaranteed 1 queen kill per battle cruiser because they get to Yamato.
Right.
And then they can go home and repair every time. So their BC count is probably going to consistently grow. They're really beefy, so it's pretty easy for Terran to just TP back home. So you want to be thinking not just, I want 7 queens for my 3 to inject my 4 to spread creep. This is just a video game now. How many queens can you make? How many BCs can you make? We're probably going to go up to 12 queens total produced for you to win the minigame.
Okay.
And then you can go back to maxing out. Because that delays their mech progression a lot. What is their ground army right now?
Well, I just killed all their Hellions, but there were Hellions.
Yeah, so mineral only units. And then now it's 7 Marines. And that's all they have. So you're super safe to like drone like fuck. There's absolutely no value they can attack you with on the ground. And that's the plus side of battlecruiser styles. I do think BC styles are some of the most frustrating because it's like that really obnoxious person who can go and hassle the shit out of you and be in your face and then just teleport away.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much guaranteed to do that. So, and they kill your queens, and you like, as a Zerg player, you care about your queens, you know? It's really rude.
It's
a rude style.
It's a surprise Pikachu face, man. It's like, what do you mean you just killed my queen? What the hell? What is this unit? This unit sucks.
Where's the Terrans? I think they could have taken that 3rd base a long time ago.
Probably.
Oh, here they go. Why is the Terran killing the rocks?
I don't know, but thank God. Praise them for it.
They're doing penance for killing the queens with BCs. They're like, you know what? That was bad of us. We feel bad about it. We want to apologize. We know that those queens were valuable to the Zerg. And we're very sorry. So we're going to break these rocks now. Just to even out the game a little bit.
One thing I'm always constantly surprised about when I watch games like this is just how much room I have to just, I could just drone. Like, I can literally just drone. Like, stop making anything else than drones right now. I just don't need to do it.
Watch that, there's a Ferrari F50 video of just the Ferraris driving on the racetrack and how fast they're going. It's a really loud engine, just rumbling, going super quick. That's your drone production, actually. You were beasting it. You want to be the next big name in race car driving, but it's just droning.
Just drones. Just a bunch
How
of
fast
drones.
is the Goblin King at making 80 drones?
Will be known for making the fastest drones in the land. Just an unabashed amount of drones. So many drones. Nobody controls the watchtower, and the watchtower is all sad and deflated right now.
I once heard the Goblin King had 80 drones at 8 minutes.
Oh my god.
Oh, the infestation pit in the spire in the main again, no!
Oh, the lair's there too! Well, this is a public service announcement. Lovely Zergs who are browsing this content, The main base is not safe. It's not safe. It's not a safe location on a whole bunch of these maps. You don't want to put your most precious tech there. They can bamboozle you. Mistakes happen. We can't pay attention to all situations all the time. The natural is the safe base. If you're thinking about dealing with the most obnoxious harass, it's the most precarious for the opponent to attack your natural, not your main base. And if you look at the mini map, it's also closer to the center of, it is the center of your territory when you're going for your 3 base. The tech goes in the natural. Anyone who's a Terran, don't scan our natural, dude. It's rude.
Stop it. Stop doing it. I mean,
That's where we put our tech. You should just guess other places, okay? Thanks. No, the game plan you're going for is solid, so there's nothing really to hide with the style. They're like, oh shit, the Zerg is playing solid macro games. I guess we have to counter them with solid macro games.
yeah. Here is a fatal flaw that I decided to make. And to let my opponent have the game. So, yeah,
No,
you
don't
know,
go.
we're going, dude. We're like, hell yeah, let's do it. It's like, what do you mean that didn't work out? What the hell? I control the Zelnaga Tower. What are you talking about?
So for this kind of style, if they're going battle mech, you should be thinking going big Roach Ravager.
Yeah.
Like huge Roach Ravager. ZVZ Roach Ravager. You just slam that. Let's go back and look at that army. What would you have of Roach Ravager with that supply?
Well, I have, let's see, 61 drones.
Swarm
And-
hosts are the unit that you make if they go tanks.
Okay.
If they go cyclones, you go Roach Ravager, or you can go Hydra Viper.
So
What
if
I
they
do against
do
mech
a-
is I rush Hydra Viper.
Okay. So what if they do like a little bit of both?
A little bit of
A little bit of Cyclone, a little bit of tanks, a little bit of Hellions. He's got some
Hydra
Thors.
Viper, dude.
I actually don't even know what this is. Hydra Viper?
Hydra Viper is mean. Do you want me to show you a game of that?
Maybe.
Okay.
That would be actually pretty cool. Yeah.
I had one during Samurai stream that I think was pretty textbook.
Okay. So you see this, you just go, there's just so much happening, we're just gonna go Hydra Viper at this point. It's like there's a couple of Marines, there's a lot of Hellions, there's some siege tanks.
Well,
Or
the
just
thing that
Hydra
Terran is
Viper.
stuck with is making expensive units. If they have Factory Tech Lab, all of their good options are expensive units.
Okay.
And Viper Abduct is really good against expensive units. That's the Cyclone, expensive unit. Tank, expensive unit. Thor, expensive unit. Widowmine, you want to make that from the reactor one. And Hellbat and Hellion as well. So Viper is just a good investment in general against this production profile from Terran. Fast mech, slow mech. Roach Ravager, you don't want to face check into mass tanks because then you'll die.
Right.
And with Swarm Hosts, they can just kill you with Cyclones.
Right.
Hydra Viper, you can abduct the Cyclones and you can abduct the BCs. If they go tanks, you can blind the tanks and abduct the tanks.
I have, since I've been back playing, not flexed my spellcaster muscles, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I just did a Viper use guide recently. I don't know if it's public yet, but it's uploaded to YouTube. Did it on stream. It's a unit that's kind of intimidating for some people to use, but if you understand how to prioritize which control group you're using at the time, it ends up being pretty easy. Because Mass Hydra against mech takes care of itself. The range is so good that you're not really that intimidated by Hellbats. And they trade pretty well with Cyclones if they're both shooting each other. And they trade okay with Thors if you have a ton of them. And BCs as well. The problem is they can just drive away from you with the Cyclones, but the Vipers deny that. And the tanks also help with the big money units. So if I had a Hydra Viper army right now, I would have my Hydras down here. And you just move them so they're kind of in range of mech, and then hold position. And then use your Viper group only and go fishing. Go
Just
fish
grab
for a
their
BC. Grab a
nice-
Cyclone. Grab some Thors. And maybe you go in and you kill like 4 units, and then you fall back. You spend the Viper energy and then immediately fall back and get your energy again, and then you trade again. So you trade with mech with Viper energy.
So don't grab things and then continue to fight. That's your sign to go back unless their army is basically done for.
Yes, unless you're stupidly ahead,
Okay.
you will probably want to fall back whenever you spend your Viper energy, because you're not likely to trade as efficiently.
Got it, okay.
So Vipers counter the factory tech lab units. Abduct. Expensive stuff. Trade with energy. Then what do?
Go back.
We fall back and we consume.
They're gourmet aficionados as well, but they like the Zerg buildings instead.
Yeah. Zerg is very hungry in general. The ultras are the hungry elephants or whatever, dinosaurs. The flip flaps, they're the bats. They're annoying. They just want to go poop on stuff.
Eat add-ons.
Yep.
Well, we control the Zelnaga Tower, so I see the impending doom coming my way, so that's good.
This Ling is a hero unit.
Yeah. Light biological hero, dude. Stands his
Carbot.
ground.
I don't know if Carbot has done one. A Carbot animations of a Ling where the story is being told from this Ling's perspective and everything is happening over and around this unit. Where it's just able to sit there, and it's a super important job. So it doesn't move with the rest of the army, and you don't have to. And it sees Hellions drive by, Hellbats, Lingbane attacks, Roach Ravager pushes, Swarm Host Battlecruiser flies over, Banshee flies over, and he's just sitting here doing his job.
Just... Oh no.
Don't kill him now! Oh shit.
He tried to run in and
He died
attack for the
facing his
swarm.
opponent.
That's right.
That's
He's
noble.
a warrior.
This is a scary as fuck mech army, by the way.
This is very scary. I feel like
It's a bunch of really good units.
if that quote-unquote trade we took earlier was Hydra Viper, or a bunch of Roach Ravager, or pretty much anything other than what I just did, we would have
Well,
probably...
They didn't really lose any units in the
Yeah.
previous fight. Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Lingbane mute against mech. Oh no.
You know what? For what we had, I'm pretty happy with how we did on that fight there.
Yeah. You hit from 2 sides, and
I
I
did.
think that was the best fight that you could have taken with what you had. So, respect. And you did control the center, so this map had much better creep spread. Look at the creep spread here.
Yeah.
I think the Overlords being forward might have helped too. You're basically dead now.
Any friend of this guy is a friend of John Goblin
Move on to
King.
the next
Up there,
game.
bro,
Yeah,
Goblin King.
yeah, we're dead. That's pretty much a... He's dead, Jim. I have the...
Your droning was better. This Terran was also harassing less than the bio player.
Yeah. For sure.
Mech does seem to be more of a slow... It's more of a slow thinking person's game. Zerg versus mech, because they have to be more deliberate about their just location they control with their mech units, because they can't really micro. You don't really micro tanks, you don't really micro Thors. It's a question of, do they have enough value to just go bop you and win?
Right. Have
Whereas
they...
versus the Hellion Cyclone, they're trying to drive up and then chip away and then drive away.
Right, okay.
Which is sort of the same as Hydra Viper, actually. Because you go in, you use a cooldown of the Viper energy, they use a cooldown that's on the Cyclone, and then you retreat while it's recharging.
Got it. I think it
Yeah,
would
right.
help a lot to kind of have a sort of game plan of this is my go-to plan for these different styles.
Mm-hmm.
and to understand what my goal is for those types of builds.
So we'll call that your game flow, and we can do that now.
Okay.
So your 2 base game flow is saying 2 base Queen drone into Muta Overlord. And then that's into 3 base drone like fuck into 4th base plus hive. That is your rough versus mech, or sorry, your versus Terran plan.
Okay.
The Muta I think is fine. Like you could open Muta and then still go Hydra Viper. That's just your 2 base unit that you want to open with, which I think is good. It's good in the current meta based on the maps that we have right now, which we talked about. The 3 base is when you need to get the information. So the bridge between these 2 steps, 2 base and 3 base, is your 6-minute scout.
Okay.
6-minute scout, and you're saying mech versus bio. Because versus bio, we're doing what?
Lingbane Muta into Ultra.
And versus mech, we're doing what?
Roach Ravager Swarm Host or Hydra Viper versus Battle Mech.
Yep. Nice.
And that 6 minutes, basically, if you see a Cyclone, it's pretty much, that's what it is.
You could also just say Hydra Viper versus BC.
Okay.
Because Hydra Viper is better against BC than Roach Ravager Swarm Host.
Right, yeah.
If you don't have Hydras, then they can just kill Swarm Host constantly.
Yeah. If none of your army can shoot the air, that's a problem. If they're making battle cruisers, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so versus Terran, 2 base Muta. 3rd base, roughly when in that sort of style? I have been making it when the Spire finishes, or if I crush their early attack kind of just right after that, but I feel like I should be looking for more of a time to do it. Should I take it at just a
3:30.
regular time? Yeah.
3:30 with Ling Speed every time.
Okay.
Ling Speed finishes, you take your base. That's the main point where you can deny the Reaper irrespective of micro.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're hoping they fuck up or they don't keep the SCV there because you have to beat the Reaper and the SCV. It's pretty cheap for Terran to do that, and it's really obnoxious.
Okay. So 3:30 with Ling Speed, basically. Okay, got it. Ling Speed finishes, go take the 3rd. Make a Bane Nest, and layer around 4 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Lingbane Muta Ultra versus Bio. Nidus the main, dude. Nidus the main versus mech, too.
Yeah.
With the mech games, Nidusing Hydras into Terran production is hecking nasty.
Yeah.
I beat who did I beat? A 5.7k mech Terran during Samurai. Just Nidusing 30 Hydras into the main. What can a mech army do against that, honestly?
Die.
They can.
You're permitted to die. So just basically in all Terran matchups, Nidusing the main seems like a good idea. Maybe not versus BCs, maybe not versus Battle Mech.
This is a different Terran, but it's the same situation of versus BC into Battle Mech.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, to level with you morale-wise for me, this is a lower than average point for me MMR-wise. And part of that is because I haven't really ironed out my approaches to the matchups. And this is kind of helping because we're basically playing it the same way. I don't really Roach Hydra Swarm Host that much. I mainly do Hydra Viper, but aside from that, kind of the same stuff.
We're going for the same type of style.
Yep.
Very nice.
So this guy, I couldn't remember if he played mech or bio. It's kind of the opening context of this. I had seen a replay of Cyril killing someone with Hydra Nidus in the main. Don't remember what Terran it was. Everything's the same as what you do.
You scout for proxies with your second overlord, though. I don't do that. I just send it to my third, and then I send it adjacent to their main, like over here, to try to get the easy scout. But yours took a very different path than mine.
That's something that might differ MMR-wise. At this MMR, it happens a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of your games it happens in, but it's a ton. Maybe like 30% or something. I think of it as the overall experience for me doesn't change much having the second overlord go toward my opponent, because the Terran hasn't made that many decisions yet, and they don't have that much to scout really at that phase of the game. And the greatest shift in how the match develops would be if they put something here. That's where Terran would make their play if they're going to go for a nasty game.
Okay.
We're going to proxy them.
So, do you inject with your first queen? Is that a purposeful choice, or do you just kind of flip a coin and you go, I'm going to inject this game, or I'm going to put a quick tumor down this game?
It depends on what your opener is, and I'll talk to you about this opener, because this is a 4-queen opener on purpose. I injected with both queens and then immediately queued up 2 more queens. So then for the next cycle, I can double creep instead of single creep.
Oh, okay.
It's all minerals, and it's 4 really good investments that gain value over time. If you wanted to iron this out like perfectly by macro, you could name them in order or think of their different jobs in order. Like the first 2 come out, they inject once, and then they go to this spot and to this spot. So they're defending 2 key zones where Reapers want to go, and also places where you want to drop a creep tumor. When the next 2 come out, they arrive a little bit after the inject, but pretty close. You can inject with the new ones and creep with the old ones, and put the older ones in the control group for creep spread. The ones that are out, they're not hotkeyed, so they could be your new inject queens.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've seen the 4-queen opener. I think Pig does that as well for most of his. It seems really strong.
Cyril started doing it against Protoss lately, too. I was interested in that. Usually Zerg rushes the 3rd base really fast, but he was taking it pretty late. He was taking it at 3:30, like you do in
Terran.
ZVT, like this build.
Some happy drones.
So we're droning up. 2 base fully saturated for minerals. The natural's still getting saturated. 347 layer, looks like.
Okay.
So a little bit before 4 minutes. Look at this 19 on minerals, dude. That's fucking...
That's a
like,
powerful
you're
number, brother.
zooming. The red number is good. Some people think, you don't want it to go over because then it's a red number, and red is bad. Like you get red male, that's usually bad. White number, that's good. No one's yelling at you. Red number is you forgot to pay something and they want the money.
Yeah.
So in the game, actually, 19 is good. You would want to think about that like you're going a little bit too fast in the foot race, but the objective is to win the foot race. You're just hustling with a 19 drone. 21 drone at a base for Zerg is sick, because you should be expanding a lot anyway. So if you overdo it by a little bit, you still need to consume 2 drones for the gases, and then 2 drones for the Evos, another drone for the Bane Nest, another one for the Spire, and that's all part of your 2 base plan. So it's a lot more than just 2 base saturation you have to hit.
Do you just leave your rallies on your individual minerals then in the beginning of the game?
Yeah, so watch it this game. I didn't have them transfer much at all. I'm transferring right now, so you're transferring up to 2 base saturation, and I think when you hit 2 base for minerals,
You just go back.
then you turn it back to the gases.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Mineral income is good.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that Zerg has to get to macro up is minerals. Gas plays are for Terran and Protoss. Sorry, folks. Maybe you could find some cheesy builds that get early gas, like
We want that blue stuff.
early Ravager cheese. It's not really good on this map. You could do a quick Roach Queen Nidus. That would be pretty good on this map. And you try to hit him here if you can.
It's a lot of dark vision in the main, which is spooky.
Yeah. The reason air attacks aren't super good though is because of the slow zones. It means that for them to retreat is really risky and dangerous. That's also the reason why Warp Prism Harass isn't the best. Because yeah, they can get to a really crucial spot for you, but they are also pretty much stuck there. Because the queens, if you win the fight, they can hit the prism for 3 volleys and then kill it.
Yeah.
Or a medevac and things like that. BCs, they just have a get out of jail free card.
They don't count.
450 spores. It's a BC opener. I'm curious if I do a 6-minute scout actually. Where are the hatches rallied now?
To the Thoid base.
How many gases do I have?
Only 3.
Yeah. And I'm going for a what?
That's an infestation pit.
Why, dude?
That's a good question. Because you wanna... We get to Hive?
Fuck yeah. That's how you get Hydra Viper, dude.
That is actually
BC?
how you get Hydra Viper.
BC in your base, slap down an infestation pit quick,
Just
and then
immediate.
get the hive going right away.
Might as well.
You
So-
zip out those Vipers. Grab, grab, grab. They have no BCs left.
So you start the Hydra then after. So the single BC coming into your base, and in addition to, I'm just trying to see what you scouted. So currently you only have the information of a BC and then a 111.
Mm-hmm.
So
The BC is so heckin' expensive for gas, though. And Stim also takes time, and the Fusion Core takes time. They don't really have the infrastructure or the money to be able to do bio. They can only make a couple units from these structures because they don't really have too much with the reactor. They only have the factory with the reactor in a single barracks. And pretty much every BC build looks like this. They could also have 2 other new barracks that they built, but it can make what, 2 Marines and a Marauder? That's not really that scary. That doesn't have to change your plan. So you have a ton of space against BC, and that's why you can rush Hive.
I see.
They have no way to punish Hive. They can't do a 2-base Marine tank attack. They can't do a 3-base Marine mine thing.
Right.
They're pretty stuck. So that's the nice thing about BC styles.
That's their game plan.
Yeah.
So even if this was like, I'm gonna make a bunch of bio, or I mean not a bunch, but I'm going to make bio behind this, you have enough of an economy and a lead because they went BCs that your Roach Hydra is basically just fine.
You would think of it more that because they went BCs, my max out is more free. My max out and my tech progression are more free. I can't kill you, but you can't kill me either. So I'm gonna macro.
Got it.
There's a lot less boxing. It's just the queen versus BC minigame.
Yep. So you
So I
see
have
the BCs.
the 4 queens together.
You go
This isn't
infestation pit. Is that enough queens to...
I could use some more. I have some money for it. I should be making queens right now. Make queens during the BC harass. I am making hydras though, and vipers.
I
So we
like
will
the
take
spot
some
they're
losses
at
here.
too, because I was just thinking like, oh man, what if there's just a bunch of battle mech at the 3rd? Oh no, there's a bunch of roaches and hydras at the 3rd. That's nice.
Yeah, the army should be more controlling the center against mech. If you control this spot, then the Cyclones and the Hellions can't really bully you. Then you control the zone. You can't kill them until the Viper's ready anyway, and you want to max out as well. The battle cruisers can be obnoxious, but They can't really kill you if you're slamming out Hydras and Queens.
Got it.
They might kill some structures and be annoying, but they're not going to end the game with that.
Okay. It's a pretty nice
Roach
fight
Hydra,
there.
dude. Roach Hydra is the classic. It's just the classic style of Zerg.
Yeah. It's a fun one.
If you think about Zerg and just the basic functionality of the units, the ranged attack unit squad, it is the Roach and the Hydra working together. So if you're a Zerg player, trying to learn more about the essence of the beauty and the might of the Zerg, Roach Hydra. Roaches, really tanky, armored, have them in the front. Hydras, more range, a lot more DPS, they attack faster and they attack air, but they're fragile. So they need a tough buddy in the front, and that's the Roach. And then the Vipers help them with anything that counters them. Mass BC counters them. One BC pulled into the Hydras at a time, it
Dead.
evaporates.
It's toast.
Roach Hydra Viper, it's the first composition that I pushed a GM with, actually. In all matchups.
Yeah, you just Roach Hydra Viper.
Mm-hmm.
It seems very
Not
strong.
always Viper in CVZ, because this was pre-Lurker.
Oh, okay.
Pre-Lurker and pre-Ravager. Ravagers can bully Hydras quite a bit, so massing Hydras is not as good. If you go Hydras in ZVZ, the Hydra defends your third base max out, and then you are ahead in a Lurker game and a Hive Tech game. So it's more of a defensive composition. Roach Ravager, you can sometimes hit him and kill him. So we're abducting tanks, abducting cyclones, 81 drones, 4 Vipers, 26 Hydras, 5 Queens. And the BC count is down to 1. And yeah, the third base is the one that's hard for them to defend, because this base is more choked up. There are the rocks and stuff, and there are rocks over here. So it's a little bit more treacherous for you to attack. This one is even ground, so you're going from this even ground here, attacking into this. Pretty nice.
Okay.
But they can defend. But we're making more use of the map. Have more drones and more bases. This base is taken.
Yep, and you.
My creep spread could have been better this game. I think the queen production creep spread. This airspace here in the middle is pretty annoying.
You know what else is annoying?
What? That was an accident. She was bound with the army earlier. And I was like, why is there a queen there? And I was like, well, I'll send an overlord over and she can spend her energy into creep.
Ha!
Might as well.
Yeah, might as well. Another big fight happening.
Dude.
Oh, noticing the main with Hydras. Oh, jeez.
Like, how gnarly is that if you're
That
Terran?
is so far away. Like, just rip this Terran, dude.
What are you gonna do? There's no recall for
Yeah,
Terran.
no, there's no.
Praise God.
Thank you.
I mean, aside from BCs.
Yeah. Even that. That looks pretty damn. This is. Yeah, your spending is top notch too, my friend.
Yeah, it was a good game.
It looks very solid. Attacking
Hydras.
the other one here. Wow. Hydra, Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra Viper.
Hydra Viper, I think of like playing.
Oh, he's still there. Neuro. I don't know what happened to his voice, but it might be gone for now. Nope, I think he's talking. I don't know if he can hear us. might try ending the call with him and trying to do it again. But I see a lot of what he's talking about here. The Nidus into the main was so goddamn strong. The Roach Hydra Viper, now just Hydra Viper, is really very solid. I'm gonna try to recall him again real quick. Hey, can you hear me? No, I don't think he can hear me. No. Rip. Let me try to just talk to him outside of the game. You guys can hear me, right? I'm hoping. My light's popping up, so. Okay, that's good to know. No, I didn't mute Discord. I am not muted, I'm not deafened, so I don't know.
Hello?
Hey, there you are.
I
Did you
can
hear me?
again. What?
Okay, I don't know what happened, but for the last maybe 2 minutes of the game, I couldn't hear you. You cut out randomly. I don't know what happened. But you're back now. I think.
So we saw Hydra Viper. What did you think?
It seems very, very powerful versus that composition for sure. I think that the red flag of I think that the red flag of I see a BC and make an infestation pit and immediately go to hive is pretty. I like that kind of correlation a lot. Shoot, can you still hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good.
And it's good on the current maps too. 2-base queen. Queen production is a mini game. It's just a fun challenge. The Terran is trying to kill your queens, and you're trying to spam queens. You're also trying to control the center of the map. That is a really, really good spot for Zerg. And the lay of the land is really good for fights too. So if the Terran is trying to cross that spot, that's a good spot. You can contest them there. That's kind of like your bridge. If you're an angry goblin under the bridge, in your garden, you're going to contest that spot and be like, yo, this is my turf.
Yeah, that style looked extremely strong. I mean, obviously there's a lot more going on than just he made Hydra Roach Viper, but at the end of the day, that composition just checked and took care of everything that he had. There was nothing it didn't have an answer for, which felt really important.
There was a day 9 daily where he taught Roach Hydra Viper whenever Vipers came out, and he was really excited about it because he liked Roach Hydra just as a unit composition, but they fall off super hard against lots of heavy mech. So when the Viper's introduced, it's like, holy shit, we have tier 2 units that are just kicking ass against tier 3 units because the Vipers enable that for them.
They fill the gap. They check that box. Awesome. Yeah, that looks like a really, really strong style versus Battle Mech. I don't know that I necessarily have a very formidable game plan that I try to do every time versus Battle Mech. I think what I was doing, I haven't faced much in the current my current series of games I've played. But it was basically I would just mass like Roach Ravager and take inefficient fights until hopefully I took better fights than he did and then won. But this, I definitely like the feel of it a lot more. Of you're actually trying to build into a composition that's like, no, now you can actually just, if they fight you, you can win that fight, or you can do a lot of severe damage where they're going to pull back, and then you only attack when the Vipers have energy if you're not kind of going for the killing shot. That feels really strong.
You ready to swim some laps, dude? You want to go up the ladder? You have to swim some laps, dude.
I feel
Macros
like
and bases, dude.
I feel like I am. I feel like I've got my water wings on. I've got my coach at the side of the pool with his whistle, and I feel like swimming some laps.
You gonna make that mineral count red?
Gonna make that mineral count red. Gonna scout at 6 minutes. Gonna take that
shit.
330 third base. 4 queens. Creep spread between the bases. I don't think I've done that in a single game since I played.
Name the queens. I actually just thought of the name for mine.
Okay.
The 4 queens.
What are they?
The Witch's Coven.
Ooh. Damn.
The group is the Witches' Coven.
The Witches'
They're 4
Coven.
witches. They love brewing creep spread. It is their favorite, most awesome activity. They do it on
like that.
Thursdays, Fridays, and every other day of the week too.
Wow.
It's just their jam. Like some people, they do raffles together and like knit stuff or whatever, but they do witch activities and spread creep.
They spread creep across the land.
Yeah. So what is the Goblins Squad?
Ah, man, that's a
You
good
don't need to think of
question.
it now, but
I gotta
just-
think of it though. I will.
Yeah.
I will
And
be
if
up.
they die, remake them.
Yeah, because they need to get their book club back going. They need
Yeah.
to get their creep spread going. They're not gonna be happy if there's none of them or if there's only one. You can't spread creep with just one queen.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get lonely.
Name your queens, people. I didn't do that until today either, so I mean I can't guilt you about it. It was an idea that just came up.
Yeah. How many names do you have for units?
Players aren't naming their group of queens.
It's just madness. Back in my day, we had a name for every drone that came out. Drone number 83, that was Samson, and he made the infestation pit versus Terran.
Do people not care about drones anymore?
I tell you, dude. The whippersnappers just getting into Starcraft 2 today. They don't know how good they have it.
Back in 1955, we named every unit in RTS.
You had to type a name into the box.
You around all the time.
That's right. David Kim made it so you had to get a name generator on each drone. Oh,
Dude,
my God.
I want the resource count on the worker. I think it's gonna be heckin' broken, and it's gonna blow people's minds for how strong the worker is.
Like how many resources they mined or gathered
Yeah.
throughout the game. That would be
Think of it like
really
the WoW
sick.
parses.
Yeah, it would be. Dude, I parsed in 99 on this drone. This was
No,
my
you name your drones.
Yeah.
You name your drones in order, and you look at their parses.
Damn.
That's your raid.
Yeah, that's
Your
sick.
80 drones is your raid.
That would be a really like no joke. That would actually be like you have a little counter at the bottom of that drone, and it just shows you how much resources it's gathered. And to see a drone that's lived from the very beginning of the game to the very end of like a 30-minute game, and just seeing how many thousands of minerals that single drone has gathered for you would just be insane.
I guess we could just do the research on what the values of that would be in a standard macro game.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
you
an
could
idea.
estimate it, but, you know, you got to take into account, like, travel time and, like, if you had to pull out, you know, I mean, you'll only ever get an approximation. It would be cool to get a hard fact number.
Yeah.
Drone 45, you're underperforming this week. That's minus 50 DKP!
You would also get to know the sections of the drones that are most likely to die to Hellions.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good to know. It's like
Yeah.
drones 35 to 45. Buckle up.
Buckle up, boys. You guys are in for a wild ride. Let's see if I made enough lings this game.
This is when the Hellion stabs happen.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking me through those games and really taking a look at the play. I feel like my game plan versus Terran feels a lot more directed now, where before I was kind of just trying to rely on more solid mechanics as opposed to a game plan. I didn't really have a game plan was my issue, I think. Or one of them.
I think that's good though. Like just getting your hands on the keyboard in the same way again. Being able to make the bases. You were doing a lot of good stuff. Like you were hitting good worker counts in a lot of the matches. The units you were making were the correct units and you were maxing out. It was kind of not knowing where to stab. So the sections we have here are game flow, stabs, so where to hit. There's compositions based on the scout that you get. And then there's game flow. Did I say game flow already?
Yes.
Queen production, Overlord scout timing, name the 4 creep queens. You understand the role of the ultras taking the center of the map. You're rallying your hatches to the Nidus during the main fight, and the Nidus is the finishing blow. 6-minute stab, and then we said that we're going to talk about other stabs in future sessions because this is going to be a series. Yay!
Yes. This is Goblin Talk with Neuro, Volume 1. How to make the bug.
The Book of the Goblin is Road to Masters.
Yes. We'll be there. We're getting there. I feel very strong. I feel that I have the tools and the power.
And now all that is left is for you to swim the laps and TP their houses.
Yep. Absolutely.
Much love to the Goblin Kingdom as well. Sub chat. You're cool. Hope life is treating you well.
Yeah, man. It's been a couple of weeks for sure, but I think we are moving forward in a really great way. I appreciate you again, my friend. Thank you so much for your help on this, and I look forward to the other installations of helping me get to Masters. Really looking forward to it. I feel really confident after this one on my Terran play. I definitely think my first couple of games, while I'm trying to remember all of it, it's going to be rough, but I think as I start to incorporate it into muscle memory and it's just reactions, that's when it's going to feel really strong. It's like the 30 Overlord. I just got to get the other reactions hammered in.
Knowledge acquired. Mutation in progress. Swarm adapting. Abathur out.
God damn. Neuro is, if nothing, a fucking legendary showman. And he's not nothing because he's also an incredible friend and amazing StarCraft 2 player. Let's give him the heart.